Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another exciting program with New Frontier Action Fund. Please make sure that you check us out online at newfrontieraction.com, and please make sure that you check us out on Facebook for upcoming programs and events and some of the exciting information that we share with folks. And today we've got another episode with our great friend who is not only a CPA, but one of Des Moines' most famous runway models. Stoy Hall is joining us again today. So I'm pleased to bring on this fashionable young man.
I feel like I need to walk that aisle, huh?
We'll get that done next time.
Right? Next time, we'll do the full picture. How are you doing today?
Good, good. You know, I'm kind of happy to see Kansas City make it into the Super Bowl, so things are looking up.
Oh, boy. Brian, who we're about to get on this call and talk about business taxes, is a diehard as well. So I'm a little outnumbered on that side, but definitely appreciate the time today. Today, we're going to be speaking about business taxes, right? And the nuances and the details that go into that. How we have it set up today is kind of an overview, the importance of it, some nice little tips, and then I want to have and come back and get some Q&A from the audience, and maybe we have a full Q&A session later on taxes. I know me and you don't know all that much about taxes, and that's why we have an expert coming on board. So let's welcome Brian Maurer to the show and get his insight on business taxes.
Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for having me again. It was great to do this last time, and happy to be on here again.
Well, welcome.
Thank you for being with us.
So, Brian, let's open up about what is a business and how to structure it to even get into the tax side of it. I know there's a lot of people out there that have a business per se. They're selling something, they're doing a service somehow, but they don't have it under a name. They don't even know really what to do with it. Can you start with that?
Yeah, we can kind of start from the top on that topic. To have a business, you can simply use your social security number and start doing business. You collect income, you have expenses, kind of have it all roll through. And as long as you're reporting that to the government, you are technically in business. I know the next step up is for people to, establish an LLC. That's probably one of the most common things that I hear is I put together an LLC. Contrary to a lot of belief, LLCs don't save you any money on taxes. They are a legal halo, but they are not necessarily a tax strategy per se. So whether you're under your social security number or an LLC, which has an EIN number, your structure in the tax world is essentially the same. So you can file under either. But for the business owners out there that are really looking to save money on their taxes, come up with the best combination of tax strategies and legal protection, you're going to want to move that LLC into what's called an S Corp. 98% of our clients are in S Corps, and there's multiple reasons that why you would want an S Corp, and we can get into those maybe at a later time. But S Corps are definitely the way to go. If you have partnerships and things like that, other partners that you work with on a day-to-day basis, there's some other more complex structures, but at the end of the day, the S Corp is probably going to be what most people should lean towards, and have discussions with their current CPA on if that is applicable for them to do and if it would be advantageous for them to do.
That's good. So now we have a business. What are some things business owners should be doing every month, every quarter, or whatever to prepare for taxes and tax planning, but also to ensure that at the end of the year, you're not getting swamped and having to tax?
I would say that probably the strategy that most people kind of take for granted is being proactive. And being proactive comes in a couple different ways. So our clients here all take advantage of our monthly bookkeeping service. That service really truthfully does pay for itself, because we get to see overall where clients spend their money. And that's probably our hardest job, is to know what you spend your money on that we don't see. you're not a CPA, you're not any sort of accountant. So how do you know what's tax deductible and what's not? So by having, our bookkeeping and keeping tabs on it on a monthly basis, we're able to see where clients spend all of their money. And then that in turn allows us to direct them in basically any and all applicable tax strategies for them. And, we have hundreds of different strategies that we can go through depending on what people spend money on. But our hardest job is to figure out what is not there. And if a client is doing kind of their own books at the end of the year, putting together all of their expenses, it's only about as good as you are at knowing what the tax strategies and deductions are applicable if you're the one putting that together. So, our firm just kind of takes that all-inclusive approach to that, and it usually saves clients so much money on taxes. We take care of them top to bottom. We'll do that bookkeeping for them on a monthly basis, so we make sure we're capturing every deduction that's applicable. And then the second thing that I alluded to earlier is tax planning in general. So we tax plan with our clients throughout the year. We don't do it during busy season. There's not a lot of strategies you can do during busy season besides, do you want to contribute to an IRA? That's basically the only one we have left. And that's not really being proactive. And nobody likes a conversation where you get your taxes prepared and then you go to file them and you're like, I owe what? Excuse me? Not really sure how I'm going to be able to pay that. So our clients typically know about 6 to 8 months in advance what they're going to owe on taxes. So plenty of time to save for it, plenty of time to make adjustments. But that proactive approach as far as tax planning goes in conjunction with that bookkeeping is what really allows our clients to make sure that they get every deduction possible, and that somebody, that has a CPA background is essentially taking care of them throughout the year, so that we don't have those big oh shoot moments where we owe what? Sorry, we're not gonna be able to do that. So yeah, those are the two biggest things, and kind of trying to stay at high level here a little bit because you get into the weeds of things, and hopefully we have some questions here which will help me to zone in on what people are really looking for. But I'd say that those are the two biggest high level strategies, if you call them, to look for if you're a business owner. One, what structure you're in, S Corp, LLC, and two, are you doing something to take advantage of making sure that you have every deduction possible being taken into account for your situation.
Perfect. And I just want to remind folks that we are at newfrontieraction.com. If you want to keep seeing programs like this, please make sure that you donate so we can keep bringing you our handsome guy, Stoy, and our sweatpants wearing friend, Brian, in the future, basically. But Stoy, did you have another question for Brian?
Yeah, this is one that we hear a lot, specifically with business owners, is meals. I can always write off all my meals, right? I can always do that no matter where I go. Tax changes have happened, but what would you say to those business owners who think they can write off every meal, who think they can write off every golf membership, all of those certain things? What would be your initial gut reaction to that?
Who think that they can write off all of them?
Yes.
There are limits to them. If we think outside the box and we try to, have a strategy going into them, a lot of times they can be deductions. Now, 2018, golf and any entertainment expenses were eliminated. Those have not been brought back yet. So you can't, golfing, theater tickets, my Chiefs game, that sort of thing. Those are not write-offs any longer. No matter if I take a client, I take an employee, it's just not part of the game any longer. Meals just recently were actually brought back into play. So when you take a client out, make sure that you keep that receipt. But a little bit of documentation as to who you're with, why you were there, that sort of thing. But that is a write-off. And then obviously if you're taking, employees or coworkers or your partner, anything like that, that can be actually 100% write-off because that's a meeting expense. That's not necessarily entertaining a client type expense where you have that limitation. So, just trying to be proactive again, talk with your CPA prior to going. Can this be a write-off? Is there anything we need to do? And it's, really it comes down to documentation and making sure that you document who you were there with, why you went to dinner or lunch, and what you talked about. And you can call that a business expense then.
I do have a question for you, Brian. With a lot of the COVID relief package legislation that came across, are there other things in that that would affect people this year as far as their taxes? Or is there certain things people should be aware of when we're looking at any sort of legislation that has recently changed?
Some, mostly for business owners. The PPP was a big headliner throughout the year. And that was primarily for business owners who had payroll in 2019. And the first one that came out was basically, it just applied to everybody. If you weren't too big, you could apply for a PPP loan and get that assistance. And then they came out with a second one, I think in December, is when I've started to talk about it. And I think it just happened recently, launched in January. Same criteria, you just had an additional criteria of your business had to have a loss particular quarter, and then you could apply for a second round, loss of 25%, I should clarify. But, well, 1 second. Okay, something clicked up there. As long as you had a loss of 25% or greater in any given quarter, you could apply for another round to help your business out. There were some other little details in there about tax credits, payroll, if you had people leaving on COVID and things like that. But I know we only have 20 minutes and we could probably talk for a couple hours on all those small details. But there were other credits available for businesses. Hopefully they talked with their CPA to make sure that they didn't miss any of those. But those were probably the two biggest ones in the COVID relief packages that came out for business owners.
Thank you for that. I know I have a lot of friends. I live near Valley Junction here in West Des Moines myself, so I personally know a lot of the really small business owners, people who literally live only a couple blocks from their own place of business. So I know this year has been especially difficult for some of these folks, and then properly preparing taxes every year. This kind of year is stressful, very stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we really do try to take that stress away from clients, and that happens through that tax planning and through being proactive. I don't talk to a lot of clients this time of year. You think that's kind of strange. I'm preparing your taxes. Why are we not talking? Well, we already talked twice throughout the year. We already made our adjustments. So as long as I've got everything that we talked about, the plan lays out exactly like we did, it's a stress-free time for clients, and they're simply picking it up. They know they're going to get small refunds if we hit our numbers correctly. And it's more just a sign and get a little bit of money back on the refund. And they're done for the year. So truthfully, I spend more time talking to clients during the summer than I do this time of year. It's really slick and easy.
He doesn't wear sweatpants in the summer. He usually just flip-flops.
Flip-flops and shorts. You see that beach place behind me? That's really where I want to be during the summer and during the winter, especially.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners have children, right? We all have children. What is some advantages of having children that are of, I guess, working age or of age to help in the business? Is there any strategies around that people may or may not be taking advantage of?
Ooh, my favorite one, the family management company is what I call it. Yes, to answer your question directly, there is a huge perk within our tax code for having your children help you in the business. And to not get into too much of the weeds of it, because it is kind of a big topic, the IRS does allow you to have your children help you. And they have to do applicable business type tasks. Don't call it chores, but helping seal envelopes, clean your office, sweep the warehouse, whatever it makes that you'd have somebody else do, but you can pay them, you can get a deduction for it, and they don't have to claim anything on their tax return. So under a certain amount, of course, but you can pay them something reasonable, and that could be a tax deduction for you. So that is one of my favorite strategies that there is. It's right within our tax code. It's black and white. That is not being aggressive at all. It's just kind of going after a strategy that for some reason, not a lot of people put in play, and I don't understand why, because it's a big one.
And we love to couple that too. So now that you're paying your children, we've got income. Now they can put that money into a Roth IRA or some type of plan to really get them started well ahead of them graduating high school or college. So we love to couple both together in a way that isn't caught up, right? They would usually give their kids money or do it for them, where now kids themselves should be doing it for themselves.
Yes, and it's significantly more powerful than a 529 plan for sure. You know, when you want to put it into that Roth IRA, that's a deduction on federal and state. 529s are state only. So we're missing out on the biggest piece, which is the federal deduction. And then, as you know, once it's inside of a Roth IRA, the options for investments and things are endless. Where a 529 plan, you're really, you're limited to what's available in that fund. But Roth IRA, 100% agree with you, is the way to go for children. Tax-free growth for however long, and until they're 65 years old, really. And they can pull the basis out and use that for college to help them. And you got a tax deduction for paying for their college, essentially. So yes, one of my favorite strategies out there.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much for today. I see we're reaching up at just about 12:20. So we're going to be running out of time. So, Brian, I want to thank you for coming on once with us again.
Thank you for having me.
February 7th, at the end of the night, you were a happy man and watched the Kansas City Chiefs roll to another Super Bowl victory.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to you being voted People Magazine's Sexiest Man of the Year. Let us know when that issue comes out. We'll be sure to post it up on our page. Look for Stoy Hall also at Black Mammoth. And you can find me right here at newfrontieraction.com with my giant pumpkin-like head. And we're going to have more wonderful programs for you throughout the month of February and into March. So please check us out at newfrontieraction.com. Also look for us on Facebook. Thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back again next week. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you, brother.